Right, let's recap what we did so far with the neck, I think. So, as you've seen, we started out by preparing the neck blank. That's basically a piece of quarter sawn beech wood with like the headstock graft cut here and glued this on to make the headstock angle. Next, we routed the channel for the truss rod. It's not done on this piece yet. And of course, we made a nice fingerboard that I'm pretty happy with. Actually the first time that I used this fabric material for the dots, and I'm super happy with how this turned out. I think this is great. Yeah, next I saved this offcut. This one was originally here on the headstock. This was cut off. I saved it. And the next step now was to basically cut it in half, turn both sides like this, and glue them on to the headstock as wings, left and right, just to make the surface area a little bit bigger for the headstock shape. And after that, glue on some headstock overlay, and the result looks like this. So, as you can see, the headstock is now made out of 3 parts, the main section and the 2 wings, just glued together, not planed, nothing yet. And on top we have this veneer out of the same material I used for the dots. So this is the same plastic with fabric inside. And of course I cut the opening for the truss rod. So this is what we have so far for the neck. And you can start to get a feeling for the materials and the textures you're going to get. And next step is cutting the shape. Right? So let's mark some stuff out and get to cutting. First things first, we need the most important line on the guitar, the center line. And because I glued this on, there's no more center line, so we have to re-establish it. I think we start up here. Just a piece of tape. So I have something to actually write on, right? So my center line up here is going to be here. Same for the end of the neck. It's just finding the center. And now I'm trying to basically project this line down the headstock. So let's see here. Just holding this like this. Then tilting it down, and this should be your center line. Okay. Now wait, let's change the plan. I think I can hardly see my own lines. Let's put some tape on there. This is the rough headstock shape. So all we need to cut it out. Yeah, so this is what we're trying to achieve shape-wise here. This is a finished tilt model. And it's always a little bit difficult to judge the actual shape just from a plan, because there are like so many tilted angles meeting, and that's where the name comes from, obviously. So yeah, it should look something like this. Just a few more steps of work to do. The neck is very, very roughly cut to shape now, but you can see it almost resembles a guitar neck, right? With I trimmed this down to match the fretboard, but as you can see, there's like a millimeter above the line still, and we're going to get to that. But for now, this is like 80% of the material removed. And the next step is to worry about the headstock thickness. And this depends on the kind of tuners we use. So yeah, let's have a look and measure that. Yeah, a little unboxing video here. Oh, these are, yeah, those are nice. We need the little ferrules here. Don't lose the tiny screws, or you're gonna have a bad day. So as you can see, if I were to mount the machine heads like this, they wouldn't even come out the top. So obviously we have to shave some material off here. And what I'm determining now is basically if I put this ferrule on here, the amount of thickness of headstock I can have like in between here and here. So let's go ahead and measure that. This should be around, if I'm not mistaken, around 15 millimeters or something. That's a little bit tricky to do. But yeah, maybe even a little bit less. 14 looks nice too. 15 works, so let's shoot for 14 and a half. 14 to be safe. Okay, where's my hammer? Yeah, this funky old height gauge or whatever you want to call it. I will set this to 40 millimeters now. 14 and a half. So doing it like that looks good for the camera, but I can't actually read the ruler, so yeah, I have to do it like that, sorry. And this is 14 and a half. Perfect. So now I can transfer this measurement to the headstock by carefully running it along here like this. So there's a little spike, and I will just carefully make sure to have it level, and I will scratch in a little line, but I try not to slip. Let's do it like that, maybe works a little bit better. And it makes a line. So this is the end height we're shooting for. So there's a lot of material to remove. Should be okay. For a second there I thought the bit inside of the collet had slipped just a fraction, and we're like on the thin side for the headstock, but it's still totally fine, so we can go ahead. I'm relieved. Just a little bit of sanding required and it will be perfect, and obviously like the volute here. Yeah, so let's try and get it off. Yeah, it's already like so much lighter. Wow. Let's get this off. It almost resembles a guitar neck. Nice. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's check with the tuner what it looks like. Yeah, it's gonna be just right. There's also gonna be like the bevel on top here of the ferrule, and it will be perfect. I have the neck in the vise here, and now it's time to position the fingerboard on it. So we make sure it's all aligned on the center line, and to get it as perfectly in the final position as possible. And after that, we're going to temporarily fix it by putting locating pins in the fret slots. So first of all, let's try and get this aligned, right? In front, we can have like a nut blank to check for alignment here. Somewhere like that. Then obviously I have to line up the center lines. Again, most important line on a guitar. It looks pretty good in the end here. Can carefully get a clamp on this. Just so it doesn't move. Double check the front. This is okay. Need to project the center line a little bit. Just from here to here. It's a bit tricky to do, but it should be fine. I can get a little bit to the left. Yeah, this looks good to me. Triple check, very important. This is nice. It's fine. Not blank. The old alignment trick again. Yeah, spot on. Okay. So I will punch the slots a little bit. So I have my tools hidden behind here. Just so I don't slip. I already marked the position. I want this directly in the fret slot. I will just do a little punch here and widen it a little bit so my drill bit doesn't slip. It's going to be the first one, and then I need a second pin obviously to align it. This will be here at the end, right here. And as pin, I'm just going to use a little toothpick. That's it. This thing has like two functions. This is my death stop, and it also blows away the dust. It's like a little fan when it turns. See, like this. Okay, let's go for it. Keep it as straight as possible. Right on, and I will start it in reverse, just so I don't take too many chips. Yeah, fretboard temporarily on it. And now I can like mark the final positions and continue refining the contour of the headstock and everything, just because I exactly know where the fretboard ends. So this is my final dimensions here, and I will shave the neck, like shave this edge away later in order to meet like this line on the fretboard here. Yeah, that's all I need in order to sand and plane this away here. The headstock is roughly in shape now. This is the famous 95% or 90% or something, that you want to take it close to the line, and the last final percent will be done by hand later on. But this is close enough to put the fretboard on. And before we do that, I will do just a final check to make sure everything is as straight as it needs to be. And then it's time to glue the board, right? So let's have a look. Now I'm gonna put some extra tape on top of the slot. Yet again, this might be a little bit controversial, but I just want to make sure we get no glue in the slot that ends up binding the tape in the end. Just like that. Make sure I don't get any wrinkles. Carefully. This is all the glue surface you're losing, essentially just like a millimeter next to the slot. So the fretboard should be plenty safe on there. Too much is fine, too little is a problem in this case. Squeeze out as Just want to minimize the mess I make on a headstock here, so I might actually take a little bit off. Okay, I'll admit this was a little bit over ambitious in glue use. But we should have a healthy amount on it now. Should be fine, nice and even. Now I make sure to position the fretboard with those little 2 spikes we put in there. Right, those 2 toothpicks here. Need to make sure I actually locate the... Yeah, okay. Okay. That's on there. Can get rid of the glue stain here. Gonna be a bunch more squeeze out anyways, but just get rid of this stuff here. Okay, and now we can get the bicycle tube on there. For that I'll put it in the vise carefully. Maybe even get a clamp for safety, just so I have absolutely no risk of it slipping. I'll take this off later, just to keep it in position. And now for the inner tube. Let's see here. Apply pressure, rub it over itself. That's good enough for a start. I work my way. Careful. It's obviously not supposed to happen. Yeah, make sure to get the pressure right up front. Now I can start moving my way backwards down the neck. I can see the amount of glue squeeze out here. Tells you that we're really putting tension on there. And the good thing is, it's not just pressure from one side, but actually it's like on the circumference. So this should be the most even way of clamping this. Okay, now we have to move this over. I try to keep it under tension. It's a tricky part. Now we have to think about ending this. So yeah, we can get about to here. So I'll unwind a little bit. I found this is really a little bit tricky, but it works best if I just stick something in here, like end of a pencil or something. This. Pull as tight as I can, backwards. Secure it with a thumb, try to feed it underneath there. This is the tricky part. As soon as I can grab it on the other side, I basically made a knot. And then we're fine. So let's... There it is. Pull tight. Get the pencil out. That's all it takes. And unfortunately we're a little bit short here. So I just might end up doing the same thing with, maybe not. Let's see how this looks. Maybe we'll be fine if I just put an additional clamp here, just on the end piece. The rest looks really good. A clamp will do it. Let's go with the clamp. bonus pressure where it really counts here. No, I think that's good. You can see all the squeeze out here. That should be fine. This can sit and cure now. That's a guitar neck. And here it is. The glue has dried and we have a one-piece guitar neck. And as you can see, there's a ton of glue squeeze out on the edges here still. Looks worse than it did before, right? Doesn't it? So now we will clean it up. And I think I will start with a hand plane.